Hello and welcome to episode 70 of How Not to Play All the Mods 10 with Squiz98. I would like to apologise for the amount of time there has been between videos. Unfortunately, this video had a few technical issues, which I've had to work on. And I was ill for a week. And my voice wasn't up to it. Anyway, let's get into it. So last time we were here, we were looking at the pneumatic craft. So I've made a few upgrades on this. We've now got access to all of the plastic sheets we want. We also realised that, or I also realised that the crude oil is the same stuff as we get from modern industrialisation. So we've got all of the oil we want. This is good, so it means we don't have to go and drill oil and find it, so this is good. I did find a few issues I had with modern industrialisation, where things were getting backed up because of the way I'd set the machines up, which we're just going to go and have a quick look at now. So I had to add in a few extra fluid ports and things like that for things, because if unlike the item ports, they can only hold one thing at a time. So I've had to add in a few extra fluid ports to allow this. But that seems to have freed things up a bit. So that's nice. That was something else that was holding things back. So there was a few that needed extra ports. We just went through and added those in as when needed, using the turbo ports. Now today we're going to be starting looking at the bits for the star. So here we go. So we're going to look at what options we've got now. I'm going to speed quite a lot of stuff up in this video, and we won't have game audio because I've done that. But we're looking at all of the items that we might need, and we're going to sort of like focus on one and work our way through it. So it looks like what I've chosen here is I think it was the Nexium emitter. So we're going to basically work our way through what we need to make this, and it's a lot of mechanism that's required. And it gets into the whole reactor stuff, because we need to make the polonium. So what you're going to find is when I'm doing sort of like making crafting recipes or sort of bookmarking stuff, I'm going to sort of like do it as a faster thing, because it took me quite a while to do it. This video started off at over 2 hours long, so it was too long. So yeah, so here we go. We're now working out what bits we require and bookmarking everything, and then we're going to basically go through and start the process of making them. So we're working our way back from what we need to make each of these things. So as you can see, I've gone in, I've found, right, okay, we need to make this item or this item, and then we're working our way back through the system, and then making recipe or making bookmarks for everything, at which point we'll then work out what we need to still craft, and make crafting recipes for all of this stuff. So yeah, we're now sort of like going through seeing, right, what machine makes what. Do I have a recipe for it already? If I don't, I'll make one. And what input is required standard sort of like mechanism stuff. It's a chain of events that you get from one to the next, and it's just a case of working out the best way of getting all of these things. Again, it's just we're just doing this. It's going to take a while, so what I will probably do is I will just carry on through until such a point as we're at the point where I need to sort of tell you some more information about this one. So we've made all the recipes, and we're now sort of like trying to work out what parts need to go where. Now, I know that I'm having some problems here with the, I think it's the refined glowstone. So we're going to have to edit the Super Factory Manager recipe slightly here to allow us to create the refined glowstone. Now, that's used in the osmium compressor. But we need to tell it to use it. Now, because we've not done it as a standard recipe thing, so we've been using Super Factory Manager to do this. So basically I need to tell it to put glowstone in from the ME chest, output to there, and then, yeah. So here we go. This should, I didn't click the button, which is why I'm a bit confused. But now if we try it again, and remember to click the button to say make it, this time it makes it, and that's all good. Just close up all of the trapdoors to, yeah. So we're now going to start on making our system. Again, we're going to use Super Factory Manager for this. There's a reason for this. We've also got to put all of our patterns into the system. So we'll probably have a little bit of a sort of like, whilst that's happening, just I'll stop recording. But yeah, we're going to work out what the chain is, and we'll go from there in a second. But obviously you'll notice that we lose the game audio when I'm doing bits like this. Unfortunately, it's because it's I've sped it up, because otherwise it would sound really weird. But yeah, so I do apologise for that. But anyway, we've got all of our items into the system now, and now we just need to make all of the machines that we don't have. And so we've got to go through and say, right, so the each of these devices make a certain item that we're going to need in the process. Now, the reason I'm using Super Factory Manager for this is because I can then say, right, input, output, and yeah, it just sort of like works. So I can say output this to here, output this to here. But I can also, it becomes modular, and that's the reason I wanted to do it this way. I can just add another machine in, put the right labels on it, and it will work. And then, so say I need an extra chemical infuser or chemical oxidizer, I can just put one in the right place, check what the labels on that particular one are, stack it up, put another factory manager cable behind it, and we're away. So that's the reason I'm doing it this way. Now, this is where it gets very sort of like, rather, it could be quite dull, because my typing skills are not the greatest, and I'm basically trying to type the Super Factory Manager thing out and work it out as we go. I know that I remember having problems remembering if it's a chemical or if it's a gas, and the fact that you can't output power to Super Factory Manager from the ME interface, which is a slight pain, but you know, we get around that eventually. And I've also got to run a new wireless network to here for it to work. But all of these things we're working on, and you know, we'll get there. So here I am, I'm just working out, right, this is the chain of events. So we start off with the sulfur, then we go to sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, sulfuric acid, and then we go on to the next side of it, which ends up being another one, which I'm trying to remember what it is. So uranium oxide, I think we make then. So it starts off uranium, then yellow cake uranium, then trying to remember the next bit. So basically, we just follow through this process. You go from the end goal and then work your way back, and that's the best way. And then we've got the isotopic centrifuge there as the last step in this part. Now I've decided, obviously, I want to move that because it's not in quite the right place. So there we go. So yeah, we can see we're putting into the ME interface what items we're going to require out. So specifically there we will need sulfur, uranium and water. So I click it wrong, but yeah, so you can put 4 buckets of water in there, and we're doing a stack of each of those, which should feed the system enough. So now we're getting our programming card, we're getting our cables. So we put the Super Factory Manager there, we put some cables in between. Here, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, so we're putting in the induction card that we end up finding doesn't work, but we don't know that yet. So just so you know. Right, so we're starting the program now, and I'm completely forgetting how to use Super Factory Manager for this bit here, so it takes me a while to just even get the basics of the program going. But we do get there eventually. So I also forget how to do FE. Slightly embarrassing. But I think at some point I might go back to one of the recipes programs and pick that up from there. But yeah, so this is all sort of like run a lot faster than it was when I did it. So yeah. So when it comes to things like mechanism, you have to specify the side properly that you're putting things into. So like bottom side or north side or top side. Otherwise it doesn't work. So a lot of this stuff is gonna be you have to specify specifically. So that's something specific with mechanism. It doesn't have sort of like backside. It has top side, bottom side, and then north, south, east, and west. So yeah, that's something a gotcha to remember. And you also have to specify what type of item you're using it is. If it's not an item, if it's sort of like FE, electricity, or power, if you're using fluids, gases, chemicals, you know, all of those things. Now, most of the stuff that's being made here, I've discovered, are gases, so that can save you a bit of time there. But yeah, it's just a case of sort of like going through and working this out. What I might do is I might just sort of like leave the voiceover and put a bit more music in the background, and then sort of like if there's anything I feel like we might need to sort of like you might need to know about, I will put some sort of like some commentary over the top of it. Now, the one thing I will say is that makes things a lot easier is to clear all your sides on mechanism devices, so that you don't have any potential sort of like pushing and pulling between devices, especially when you're having them this close up. So you just go in, change all the sides, clear them, and then basically do them the way that you want, because they do have some configs automatically. So yeah, just be aware of that when you're doing this. Okay, so I'll be back in a little bit with some more information as and when needed. Something that I've noticed, unless it specifically needs 2 separate inputs, So a left side and a right side. I've been trying to put everything, input and output, on the bottom side, just so that the program's simpler and you don't have to worry about sort of like saying, oh, east side, right to the west side. But yeah, just so it makes things that little bit simpler. Yeah, so. Other thing to notice is that the labels for Super Factory Manager are case sensitive, so you need to be aware of that when you're creating things. So I try and make everything lowercase, just so that it's easier when you're trying to remember which device you're using, so you don't. And also make sure that, so like here, I've made this one so the yellow cake uranium enrichment chamber, just sort of YC enrich. You'll notice that I do sort of like something similar. The type of machine, or sorry, what's going in, and the type of machine, so that it's easier for me to, when I'm pushing the labels back out. So yeah, something to notice. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm working out which side's which. So I need to know which side is going to be west and which side's going to be east, so that I know which side I'm putting each item into. Because this is one of those ones, the chemical infuser has two different inputs. So yeah, so I put in the uranium from the uranium oxide chemical oxidizer from the bottom side, and I'm outputting it to the next one, which I can't remember what I've called it. Chemical infuser, I think it was. So I'm going to call that one. Oh. Yeah, it was doing some strange things here. So and inf. So yeah, basically I'm going back to that again. So basically I'm just working my way through my, oh yeah, so it's, because I need to tell it it's its mechanism, because that's where it starts getting back. You've got to remember to use potentially the full name of the thing, including the mod that it's coming from, and also you've got to tell if it's a fluid or a gas. So that's what I'd said about earlier. But yeah, so she'll leave you to this bit here and just follow through with the texts on the screen. The nice thing with Super Factory Manager is it does tell you if and when a machine can't take the input because it's the wrong sort. So this is, I think, how I worked out that eventually that it's gas rather than a fluid. So yeah, but it basically says that the config is wrong on the machine. So that kind of makes you think, what have I done wrong here? And then that's, yeah, the how you work it out. Something else that you may have noticed, I think I may have done some sort of like less than optimal coding there. So I think as long as it's only got one option and it is a gas, you can just do gas : : So if I was to be outputting from the bottom of something, I could probably just have done gas : output from the machine, and input gas : from machine bottom side, output to gas : to the machine, and then the side that it needs to go into. It's one of those ones where I didn't think about it, and it might have made this a whole lot easier, so I didn't need to know what everything was called. But yeah, it's worth something to note when if you're doing this sort of thing yourself. So here I'm making some of the other bits that are required, like the water vapor and the hydrogen and the oxygen. So obviously I'm using a rotary decondensator and a electrolytic separator, so I just had to make the recipes for those. Now obviously I've got to remember which side's going from which to which, and then so it can basically I can export from them to put into the other machines that require them. And the other gotcha is remembering to change the rotary decondensator to being the right way that you want it to be, whether it's making it from a gas to a liquid or a liquid to a gas. It looks like I've put the network in now, and this is probably where I figure out that I actually can't get power from the ME interface. So this is where I probably create a cube. What am I doing here? Yeah, I'm trying to work out why it's not taking the FE from there. Now, yes, so I work that out, and then I just dig down and create a cube and give it power. So, yeah, as I said, that was the gotcha. But yeah, I do work it out eventually, and then we've just put a cube in for it to work with an ender gate on it. So yeah. Also remember, before you close up your gaps, to put the label onto the thing, because that's quite annoying. As we can see, all of the machines are now getting power. And this is where we would obviously now be doing our sort of last bits of checking everything over. So making sure that we're putting everything in from the right sides. I seem to remember there were a few issues I was getting here. Oh yeah, didn't have power on those. That was what was the issue there? Oh, I don't think I'd set the power side properly on that. So they're now getting power. What's the issue on this one? Oh, that's got water is not getting. I can't remember what the issue here was. It was something really simple in the end. It might have even been that I just broke it and replaced it. But we'll find that out in a second. It was an oddity for sure. I hadn't connected them up properly. There we go. That was what it was. And then I broke it, placed it down again, cleared all the sides, input power from the bottom, input water, and then broke it again. Oh, I put the wrong thing down. That'd be why. So now that's creating stuff. Obviously, I've still got to put the labels onto it. Oh, I hadn't pushed the labels properly. So that's now creating the oxygen and dumping out the hydrogen. No, did I have the wrong side on that? Yeah, I had the wrong side on it. I think, or did I? I seem to remember this being a bit of a sort of like head scratcher of what I'd done wrong. Yeah, this one yeah, this one took a little bit longer because I forgot to set it to the decondentrate bit. So there we go. And then now that I think that was working. Yeah, it's just one of those ones where you just got to sort of like work your way through and you'll get to it eventually. The other thing is always remember to push your labels back in, because if you don't do that, none of it's going to work. So now we have the game audio back and everything sounds like it's working. Before next episode, I'm going to put muffling upgrades in everything I can. So we're pushing the last bit in there. We've got to push so that's good. Now I haven't pushed in the labels, so that'll be why it's not doing it yet. And I can't remember if I remember that. It's taking me a while to remember this, to do this. There we go. And now I've obviously done something slightly wrong in the program here. Let's have a quick look. Right, so I've forgotten to put an underscore in there. And now you hear that, That's the last machine doing its thing, and it's now making fissile fuel. So that is the whole process of making fissile fuel with mechanism. But that's the end of this episode. It took me about 2¼ hours to get from the beginning to the end of this, maybe 2 hours, getting the program right, getting everything sorted. But anyway, if you've enjoyed the episode, thank you very much for being here. It'd be great if you could drop me a like on the video, let me know what you think, drop me a comment, something in the comments, just even if it's emoji, just to sort of help with the engagement of the video. And if you really like the series and like the video, drop me a subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, really helps the channel out. So yeah, that would be awesome. But as I say, it's been an interesting episode, and then the next episode we're going to be looking at making the reactor. Again, I'm probably going to try and do it with Super Factory Manager, so we might have a few more of these where it's sort of like, you know, doing a bit, making some changes. Hopefully I won't have any issues with the recording next time, so we'll just go sort of like directly through. But yeah, it's been fun one, and I've enjoyed getting back to Super Factory Manager and finding the gotchas in it with this little setup. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for being here, and I shall see you in the next episode. Bye bye.